Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the final day of our International Symposium on Cultural Diplomacy, National Security, and Global Risks. Very happy to have the chance this morning to begin the day with two very interesting participant papers. And I think in many ways it should get us in the right momentum for the keynote addresses to follow in about a half an hour. The first presentation is Jameel Khan. He's a consultant with the Huron Consulting Group, Incorporated, which is a professional services firm based out of Chicago, Illinois. Prior to consulting, he worked for the German government in Berlin and with the Federal Investment Agency on German trade and investment, a nonprofit organization in the German-American business community, and a multinational company in operations management. Outside of work, he has academic interests in cultural diplomacy, foreign languages, and business strategy. He's attended the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy conferences in Berlin, the USA Meets Germany Young Leaders Forum in 2008, as well as the International Symposium on Cultural Diplomacy 2009. So it's actually your third time participating in the ICD events. We're very happy to have you back. He's also participated in the National Science Foundation-sponsored Innovate Conference in 2009 in Vietnam and Taiwan. The lecture topic that he's chosen today is our untapped reserve and necessity for strengthening national security through foreign language proficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a very, very warm welcome for Mr. Jameel Khan. Thank you. Is this yours?
It's fine. Thank you, Mark, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. Ni hao, hola, hello, ahlan wa sahlan, namaste, assalamu alaikum, hola, privyet, konnichiwa, and guten tag. These are the 10 most widely spoken languages in the world, covering nearly every continent and spanning over 3 billion people. My topic today is on foreign languages and U.S. national security and the important correlation of the two. We've spoken a lot this week on this notion of cultural diplomacy as a means of soft power, and have discussed the many tools, if you will, of soft power that has many forms. Rock and roll music, social networking sites, ping pong, diplomacy, sports, the arts, and even public health. And the list goes on. These are all instruments of soft power. Foreign language, I argue, is another instrument of soft power, and is the primary focus of my paper and presentation. So it's an honor to present on a topic that is a personal interest of mine. Although I'm an engineer by training and consultant by profession, I consider foreign languages to be one of my strongest passions. At the same time, I argue that foreign language is also an interest to U.S. national security. So, in the interest of time, I've condensed my presentation into 3 main points. The necessity, lessons from a chameleon, our progress, what has been done with the U.S. federal government and organizations looking in the rearview mirror, and then a call to action, the language initiative. So why is foreign language proficiency so important to national security? Why is it a necessity that the United States has a strong reserve of fluent speakers of many languages, in both civil society and in concentrations of power, such as the Department of Defense, the State Department, and the intelligence community? Well, to answer that question, I'd like to draw on an analogy with an animal called a chameleon. For those of you that might not be aware, a chameleon is a lizard that has a very unique and powerful ability to change the color of its outer skin, to adapt and blend into its own very environment. One advantage of this ability is to protect itself from its predators and to ensure its security. Take a moment, if you will, and look at the picture on the screen. Do you notice anything that stands out in particular? Odds are, all you see is what looks like a tree with several branches and many leaves. In this photo, it might seem actually very simple. Zooming in, though, one might be able to see the chameleon that has completely blended into the environment by changing the color of its skin. In modern times, where conflict, war, and terrorism are more decentralized, unconventional, and cyber, our ability as a nation to speak multiple languages based on the mood, temperature, and health of global politics and global conditions in foreign environments around the world allow us as a country to blend, adapt, and better prepare ourselves to survive national security threats. Just like the chameleon's color changing his ability to blend into his environment, foreign language allows U.S. citizens the ability to protect U.S. national security. So in my research, I've looked primarily at government initiatives, programs, and funding over the past 10 years, especially after 9/11. So I wanted to get a sense of how much was being done at the federal level to improve our foreign language capabilities with a focus on government initiatives. What you might have seen here is a 10-year timeline of all the initiatives, which is more detailed in my paper. During this time period, there were a number of research studies, government initiatives, all on the subject of improving foreign languages, the most comprehensive of which was the National Security Language Initiative in 2006. This was signed into law by George Bush on January 5, 2006, which was a comprehensive federal program aimed at addressing the need to improve foreign languages, with a focus on critical languages such as Arabic, Chinese, Urdu, and other such languages. This was an interagency effort coordinated by the Department of Education, the State Department, the Department of Defense, and the Director of National Intelligence. The initiative had three main objectives to increase the number of the following: Americans mastering critical languages starting at a young age, advanced speakers of foreign languages, especially in critical languages, and teachers of critical languages to provide resources for them. So, as you see here, it's clear that our government has acknowledged the importance of foreign language, which is a very important first step, but I argue that more has to be done. You might be wondering on what basis I make such an assertion. Well, as an engineer and consultant, I am naturally very inclined to numbers and data. So I like to make decisions and interpret results based on data and information. So if you look at the numbers on this screen and some of these reports, I've chosen really a select number of what I deem findings that have really proven to this strategy. So in 2004, the 9/11 Commission report cited foreign language deficiencies within the U.S. intelligence apparatus, lacking translators proficient in Arabic and other key languages. In 2005, the National Association for Bilingual Education reported that 50% of Europeans spoke more than one language, compared to a mere 9% in the United States. In 2009, a GOA study, the Government Accountability Organization, cited the following for the U.S. Department of State. Of the 700 Foreign Service officers, over 50% did not meet the language requirements for their posts around the world. And in Afghanistan and Iraq, which I found very surprising, over 70% and 50% did not meet the language requirements. And lastly, in 2012, Senator Akaka from Hawaii held what he called his final oversight hearing entitled "The National Security Crisis." So this is really just a select number of facts and information that I pulled that paint an image in my mind of a really strong need to improve our foreign language in the United States. So it is against this backdrop of these first 2 points, a necessity of foreign language and the progress we've made to date, that I offer an alternative approach to improving our foreign language capabilities. More than anything, this is really a call to action to initiate a dialogue, to begin thinking about how can we as a people improve our foreign languages as Americans throughout the world, both at the individual level, the group level, and at different organizations. While there are programs aimed at strengthening these foreign languages at a much younger age, there is no comprehensive national strategy. In my paper, to be concise, I discuss an initiative that leverages the diversity of our population with respect to the heritage, the cultures, and the many languages of our people. You know, the United States is one of the most diverse countries in the world in terms of its population. And I think if we leverage the languages of our immigrants, we can really improve our foreign language capabilities. This is what I call our untapped reserve for foreign language resources in the United States. We can actually impact our younger generation. This approach would, at the very least, provide an exposure to second language learning at a much younger age, which is thought scientifically to be the best time to learn a second and third language. So, in conclusion, I think Deputy Secretary of Defense Paul Wolfowitz explained very well the importance of foreign language proficiency as an instrument of soft power in cultural diplomacy. The greater our ability to communicate with people, the easier the burden on our troops, and the greater the likelihood that we can complete our missions and bring our people home safely. Even better, the greater our linguistic skill, the greater the possibility that we can resolve international conflict and achieve our objectives without having to use force. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I think the issue of language is definitely one of the key issues in either preventing dialogue or enabling it. Before you leave the podium, are there any questions or comments anyone would like to pose? Or first presentation of the day? If not, you'll hopefully be with us the rest of the day as well, so we can also ask further details about the paper. There's one question in the back. Okay.
This is Ozzy Romeo, Arizona State University. It's not a question, but it's just a comment. I just want to appreciate and congratulate the speech because this is something we need in our societies, our today's world. In fact, with my own experience, Cameroon, basically, which is my country of origin, was colonized by the German. and basically was given under the trusteeship of France and Great Britain after 1945. But in reality, it's very strange that coming from there, speaking German from an African country is very surprising. And you remember, you and I were speaking German yesterday.
German is very good.
Thank you. And then it is funny because when I met and when I lived also in Germany, the fact that I could speak German a little created the bonds and the connection between other African folk that were there, but they were not connected with the society, simply because they couldn't speak. So the German friends were calling me their brother, even if we looked different, because we were speaking together and we understood each other. But the other people, foreigners coming from South America or Africa or Asia who couldn't speak German, were not really integrated or didn't have the trust of people from the local communities. Then I want just to add what you said, which is very important in cultural diplomacy, to be able to communicate with others. Language is a very important tool to respect others, to consider other people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marek Wosiński from Arizona State University. Well, I couldn't agree more with what you said. But we also know that it's possible to teach the whole society to speak languages. Like if you go to Switzerland, an average college student speaks 5 languages. They have three official languages, one foreign language in high school, and the second foreign language in college, and they speak languages. And when I was in Switzerland, I heard this joke about 2 Americans walking down the street, and a gentleman approaching them and asking, "Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Говорите по-русски? Parlez-vous français? Mówisz po polsku?" So finally he quit. And one American guy says to the other, "You know what, I feel really stupid. When I go back home, I will just enroll to some language classes and so on." And the other is saying, "You know what, are you crazy? Look at this guy. He knew 5 languages and what? Was he able to communicate with us? No." So,
You make a very good point. I was going to add, actually, it's a policy of the European Union that EU citizens, it's not mandated, but it's a recommendation that they learn more than 2 languages in addition to their own mother tongue. So, thank you.
All right, once again, maybe a second